Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
I like to test my products for a while. People know this. This is why my reviews tend to be kind of in-depth. I pre-record a lot of them because I don't feel that just a day or two of hanging around with a product really gives you the experience of what it means to own something. That's why when Acer sent me this brand new 27-inch 4K monitor, I told them, I'm going to be holding on to this for a while, guys. And now, it wasn't just for the review. It's because this thing is absolutely gorgeous. This is the Acer S277HK. Now, this is the first 4K 2K Ultra HD monitor with HDMI 2.0 in the world. Now, what does that mean? Well, HDMI 2.0 will allow you to use the HDMI interface, but at 60 hertz. And let me tell you, if you're going to be gaming on a 4K monitor, or if you're going to be watching videos in 4K, that matters. And in fact, let me talk to someone in the studio who has a lot of experience with gaming in 4K. Brian,
yes.
We've been getting into a lot of Homeworld recently, haven't we?
Yes. That's a 3D. For those who haven't heard of Homeworld, is a 3D environment real-time strategy game that was released in 1999, but they remastered it, and oh my God, in 4K, it looks so good.
Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. But one of the issues that we've had is if you're using an old HDMI standard, HDMI 1.0, you can get frame shearing when the action gets kind of crazy. Like right now, the Wi-Fi in my laptop is dying because I'm pushing so much data, and HDMI 1.0 just can't handle that.
Yeah, and a good point about the 60 hertz is at 30, it's not playable. It's not fun. But if you have a powerful enough machine to do 4K at 60 hertz, it makes all the difference.
Right, because what HDMI 2.0 does, it actually increases the bandwidth to 18 gigabits per second. You can see this stuttering that we're getting, it's not just the Wi-Fi, it's the fact that the laptop I'm using to drive this just can't drive the right amount of bits. But when I have this hooked up to my desktop, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. You can't see the pixels. I mean, that's one of the things about this kind of a monitor. It's the right size. It's the right format. It'll give you 3840 by 2160. It'll give you in-plane switching so that the view angle on this is extreme. I can go all the way out almost to the edges here, and I'm still going to be able to see things in the right color rather than it switching into that pseudo color that you get with lower quality panels. It's got a 4 millisecond response time. It's got that 60 hertz refresh time. It's LED backlit, and it includes DisplayPort, mini DisplayPort, HDMI, and DVI, as well as speakers. So you can pretty much plug anything into this. Now, Brian, there's one thing I really like about this, and I'm going to have to ask Acer to help me test this. The bezel on this is actually very narrow. This comes up all the way to the edge. So what they've told me is that I can put two of these side by side, and because of the way it's designed with that super thin aluminum there, that I should be able to just not notice that.
It'll look pretty seamless.
It should look seamless. I don't know if that's actually going to work.
That'll be a nice setup.
But I've asked Acer to send 3 more so I can test it on 2 different machines.
Well, you got to do the full encompassing review. But so a lot of people in the chat room are also asking, how powerful of a machine are you going to need to not only power one 4K monitor, but if you're going to be doing 3?
Yeah, you're gonna be looking at some serious horsepower here. You're gonna need at least a quad-core i7. I would get no machine with less than 16 gigabytes of memory because any software that you're gonna be using to drive that many 4K monitors is gonna need a healthy dose of memory. And most importantly, you're gonna need a killer graphics setup. You're probably gonna be looking at SLI, something NVIDIA 980 or so. It's going to get expensive. It's going to get really expensive. But you know what? We love you here at Twit, which is why we're going to go through the expense of putting this together so that you can just marvel at it and then come over and visit and take a look every once in a while we play Homeworld.
Yeah, if you haven't had an opportunity to experience a game in 4K, it makes a big difference. I was really impressed with it. And I think the gaming machine I'm using downstairs has an i7, 8 gigs of RAM. I'm only doing one 4K monitor at 60 hertz, and I'm able to play everything on full. And I believe, I have a GTX 780, so relatively new card, not the most powerful card we have in the studio, but well, we could test that out too.
Well, but the amazing thing is we're now seeing software, games and editing software that will do 4K. So it's not whether or not we're going to need this, it's it's coming, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to be ready. Now, this again, this is the Acer S277HK. You're going to be able to find this online for about $600, which it sounds like a lot, but totally not. I mean, if you look at the first generation of 4K monitors, I'm not talking about TVs that could be plugged in monitors. I mean devices that were designed to be computer monitors, because they are different. I've got a cheapo 39-inch 4K monitor that I bought for about $300, and it works, and I use it for video editing. It's nice to have that much desktop, but it doesn't do things like the really wide angles of viewing. It doesn't look nearly as nice, and it just doesn't have all the inputs that you're going to want if you're going to be using 4K in any sort of professional setting. So again, I'm going to be taking a look at this over the next month or so. I've made this my primary monitor, and I'll tell you if it's going to be worth the $600 to go 4K for realsies. What do you think, Brian? You think that this is going to find a place in the no-hole?
Well, Ballecer, we got to review it. We got to push it to the limits, and there's no better place to do it than in the no-hole.
You heard us, Acer. We're going to need 5 more of these, maybe 6.
Yeah, I mean, if they really want us to play with that bezel, I mean, it looks pretty thin, but I won't know unless I have at least 6 monitors.